This is the Recycling, Scrap Metal, Commodities, and Economic Report, March 17, 2025. Happy St. Patrick's Day. U.S. weekly raw steel production rose slightly to 1.67 million tons. New steel tariffs will help U.S. production. WTI crude oil price rose slightly to $67.18 a barrel, but there was a new lower global oil demand forecast issued. The U.S. administration is targeting $50 per barrel oil to offset higher tariff costs. Oil prices down, not on increased U.S. production, but on the lower global oil demand. U.S. weekly crude oil production rose just slightly to 13.575 million barrels per day, near December's record. Steady production continues as prices fall. The U.S. weekly oil rig count rose slightly to 487. Drillers remain cautious about increased investment. Low prices hurt the payback for investing in new wells. Scrap steel number one HMS composite price is still settling at about $376 a gross ton. Tariffs on Mexico and Canada are causing scrap price instability. Hot rolled coil steel price rose to $46.95 per hundredweight, which is $9.39 a ton, up 30% year to date and is a one-year high. New steel tariffs are allowing U.S. steel mills to raise prices. The new higher prices are great for steel companies, but they are inflationary. Copper price rose to $4.88 a pound, near a record high. A lot of bad news on the economy would normally lower prices, but the possible copper tariffs are distorting the market, as new Chinese stimulus will also help prices. Alumina price fell slightly to $1.22, which is $26.82 a metric ton on lower Chinese exports of aluminum. There has been less Chinese aluminum production to reduce China's carbon emissions. U.S. March U of M consumer sentiment plunged to 57.9, the lowest since November 2022, and near 2008's low. This was on concerns around the government's policy of tariffs, Medicare cuts, and government layoffs. Also on concerns about the continued inflation, as well as personal finances, including 401ks that are dropping. U.S. March U of M 5-year inflation expectation increased to 3.9% over the 5 years, with 2.8% actual now. Tariffs have consumers very concerned, and they are pulling back on spending. 1-year inflation expectation, not shown here, rose to a 2-year high of 4.9%. U.S. February core producer wholesale prices fell to 3.3% versus last year, the lowest in 10 months. Services and autos fell as eggs, electric power, and scrap steel rose. And now we just talked a bit, but the U.S. February consumer price inflation fell to the 2.8% we talked about versus last year. Gasoline fell while natural gas rose. Also, new vehicles fell, but they're about to rise if tariffs stay in place. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell a big 2,042 points to 41,488, the worst week in 2 years. Consumer spending is falling, as we mentioned, and inflation expectations are rising as the 401ks are down. Here's the problem. Lower stock prices mean lower wealth that causes lower spending, which brings lower economic growth. This is Greg Brown. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.